You know, how we talk to ourselves in times of difficulty and challenges is what really helps to build our persistence to help us stay consistent. And today we're going to talk about one of those amazing principles, one of those fundamental principles in helping us set ourselves up for success, and it's called self-talk. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and welcome back to my 100-day walk for consistency. Remember, consistency is your superpower, and staying consistent sets you up for success. So we're going to talk about that as we do our walk today. Let's go ahead. Let's get walking. See you on the trail. So today we're talking about self-talk. So what is self-talk? Well, self-talk is basically the conversations we have in our head every day. You know, that time when you're sitting there and you're pondering some decision you have to make, or you're pondering something that's happened in the past, or you're pondering a conversation that you are planning to have. Then self-talk is that voice that's in your head that's telling you something. Now, I'm not going to talk about what the voice is telling you, and that's what we're going to discuss a little bit as we walk through this discussion today, because self-talk is the thing that we have all the time, and we all do it. Sometimes we don't even realize that it's happening, only to realize that it sounds like somebody is actually having a conversation with us, but you know what? It's ourselves. And there are a couple of types of talk. There is positive self-talk and there is negative self-talk. We're going to be talking a little bit about both of those. So positive self-talk is that inner critic that we've talked about on several occasions. It is that part of ourselves that is very adept at telling us about things that's happening. And I guess let me do this. Let me say, so positive self-talk, negative self-talk. Okay, so positive self-talk is the talk that says, I am able to, I can, I will, I am sufficient. That's positive self-talk. The negative self-talk, on the other hand, is the talk that says, you know, I probably can't do that. You know, that never works out for me. You know, whenever we've tried this in the past, we've not remained consistent. You hear the difference? And this goes back to those coaches, that inner coach that we talk about, and the inner critic. The inner critic is very adept at remembering the things that have happened to us in the past, and the things where we've fallen down, the things where we've not done a good job. And it has a record of all those things recorded in this memory. And so it's very easy to pull that out. And so that's the inner critic. The inner coach is that part of us that has a history of the successes that we've had, that's able to pull those out and at any particular time give them to us. So as we talk about self-talk, one of those coaches is going to be in play. It's either going to be the positive, the inner critic, which is the negative, or it's going to be the inner coach, which is that positive. And so we want to associate self-talk, positive self-talk, with the coach, and negative self-talk with that critic. So those are two types of self-talk, and I'm coming up on the street here. Two types of self-talk that we will run into. Okay, so the critic discourages us. It has thoughts that make you feel doubt and the inability to accomplish. The coach, on the other hand, which is the positive self-talk, encourages you, it uplifts you, and it helps you stay positive even in times when you are distressed. So I'm walking, and right now I'm walking, by the way, this is after work. Okay, so I just left the office, and there are people kind of hanging around, walking, people going to their cars. Okay, so an interesting thought that I want you to remember when we talk about self-talk is that the words that we use with ourselves are powerful. And positive self-talk reinforces persistence and helps with consistency. And negative self-talk, on the other hand, it erodes our confidence, and it leads to a lot of upheaval, it leads to a lot of difficulty, and it takes away our consistency. Okay? So why does self-talk matter? Why does it matter for consistency? Well, self-talk really shapes our identity. So as we are talking to ourselves, as we're going through the process of looking and developing who we are at our core, the words that we tell ourselves, the phrases that we use, the ideas that come through our mind are the things that ultimately define us. I mentioned before that our brain, our mind, does not like to be wrong. So it will create and find instances, it will put you in situations that will reinforce what you're telling it. So by having those words, whatever words you're telling it, that's what the body, that's what the mind is trying to create. And so your identity ultimately is developed by the things that we tell ourselves. The words that we use, the conversations that we engage in, there's a car going by, those are the ones that help to define who we ultimately are going to be. So the way you see yourself, the way you address yourself, positive self-talk affirms our strengths and abilities, where negative self-talk takes those away, right? So if you're trying to stay consistent with a fitness routine, with exercising, with this walking, for example, then positive self-talk says, I can do this. I'm going to make it to 100 days. I'm going to make it to 101 days, right? I'm going to develop the things I need to be consistent. I'm going to do the workbook. I can be successful. I can be better than I am right now. That's positive self-talk. Negative self-talk says, man, I don't know if I can make it 100 days. Walking every day, I can barely get up in the morning now. And man, do I have to do all those workbooks? I don't know, maybe some other people can do this. But whenever I've tried stuff, it hasn't quite worked out for me. You hear the difference, right? So the self-talk really plays a big part in how successful we are going to be in our plan, and it defines our identity. It is the thing that more than anything else will set us up for success. Okay, so self-talk, it impacts our emotions. Think about it. We talked about the model in, I think it was yesterday's discussion. Things that happen, words that people say, don't have effects on us until we give meaning to them, right? And so the words that we use, oh, you're no good, or man, you're amazing, or hey, we fail a lot, or hey, this is another opportunity for learning, right? Notice just those two phrases, those two groups of phrases I use, are able to make you feel a certain way. And when you are able to have positive self-talk, then your emotions are emotions that will set you up for success. They push you forward, make you feel good about where you are and good for your potential. On the other hand, the negative self-talk depresses you. It pulls away your energy. It saps the energy from you. And so often when we feel negative, when we have those negative thoughts, negative feelings, then we get to the point where we really become paralyzed. And if we're not careful, then we don't work on the things that we say that we're going to do. So positive self-talk will allow you to have those emotions that will help to push you in a positive direction. That's the beauty, one of the beauties of positive self-talk over negative self-talk. Not only that, but self-talk builds mental resilience. Remember, resilience is that ability to bounce back. The ability to say, yeah, there are some things that happened, There is something that I bumped into. There is a change that I've had to make in my plan. There is an obstacle that I had to overcome. There's a resource that I didn't have available to me that I was expecting. I've had to pivot. I've had to be flexible, right? It rained. It's cold out. I hurt my foot. I overscheduled, overcommitted myself. And so all of those are things that can come, and if we're not careful, we will use those as reason, even in this space, to say, okay, I'm not walking today, okay? But positive self-talk allows you that resilience that says, okay, yeah. We're going to walk, okay? We're gonna bounce back. Whatever that thing was, it happened, and I know it happened, but that's okay, because I'm able to overcome that, and I'm able to make a change for the positive, right? So patience. Persistence. We talked about patience yesterday. Persistence requires mental toughness. There are some times we're gonna have to make some decisions, y'all. Some decisions that are gonna feel like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But I want to let you know that it is possible. You will be successful. And I came down this street just as my man was starting to start up his lawnmower. So we're gonna have to find a spot to go a different direction. You see him back there? But that's okay. All right, see, look at that. Perfect example, right? So we can stop walking, or we can stop filming, but we're gonna say, no. We're just gonna build that right into the conversation. Okay, I think I might go down this street here and see. So a lot of these places around here I've not walked before. So we're actually, you're with me seeing some of the places where I'm going for the first time. So let's see, what do we got down this way? Okay, so that one's a dead end. Okay, so we'll see. I see a street coming up here that will kind of go down. Okay, so once again, we're talking about self-talk, right? So how do we develop positive self-talk, right? Because we don't want the negative self-talk. The negative self-talk, we've already decided, is not going to help us be successful. It's not going to help us go in the direction where we want to be. So how do we develop positive self-talk? Number one, we want to recognize when it is a negative self-talk. Oh yeah. So first thing in change is we got to recognize where we are. So the first step is to transform your self-talk into something that's positive, something that will put us in the direction of being successful. And so we want to recognize it. Notice the thoughts that you have, right? Notice where they come from. Notice what happens when you face challenges. Is it always kind of this humdrum of negativity? Is it always negative words? I can't, I won't, I don't. It hasn't worked in the past. If those are the words that you're hearing, that's negative. That's negative self-talk. Now, I'm not talking about the ability to assess and look at things that are going on in your world and say that I have looked at this situation and I've decided, I've determined, I've whatever, that it is not the best thing that I should do. That's a whole different conversation, okay? Because remember, our SMART goal says that we're evaluating, we're coming up with specific, measurable, achievable, related, and time-bound things, right? So this is not that. But notice the words that are being used as you're talking to yourself, as you hear that voice in your head, right? So if it's always negative, then we know, okay, Yeah, this is some negative self-talk. And then you want to challenge some negative thoughts. Remember, we're talking about how do we develop positive self-talk? We challenge the negative talks. So this is a perfect place to use your inner coach. So when that inner critic is telling you something, this is a place where the coach gets to say, no. Yeah, I know that one didn't work out. But remember the time when such and such, when we did this? You remember the time when we did the 100-day walk? You remember the time when we were able to finish that first week or the second week? You remember when we sat down and we evaluated our positivity? When we sat down, we evaluated what we wanted to do. We set some goals. We came up with our why. Yeah, the coach gets to do that. And, the coach gets to do it if the coach remembers. You see where I'm going? All right, we're going to do a show specifically on journaling and so forth. We've already talked about documentation, but I want to do one specifically on how do we journal, how we use that. Okay, so we want to challenge those thoughts. Instead of saying, I'll never be able to stick to it, ask yourself, is that actually true? Is it true that I'll never be able to do that? Is it true that we never complete anything? Is it true that we are never able to plan? Is it true that we're never, right? So notice what I'm doing, right? So I'm challenging all of those thoughts that come from that negative space. Okay, so you want to challenge those thoughts. So here's some action steps, right? So take one negative thought and transform it. One thought that you've had, and then change it. Let me move this a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right, so take one negative thought and change it, okay? Instead of I'm not good enough to finish this, say I'm learning and improving every single day, right? So take that thought and transform it. Next thing, use positive affirmations. Oh, this right here is one that takes and needs a lot of attention, right? We don't give enough attention to this idea of positive affirmation. What is an affirmation? One of my affirmations is that I am a content creator. I am an amazing speaker. I am an awesome endocrinologist. So I said one of mine, but those are some of mine, right? Some of my affirmations. And those things are words that I tell myself all the time. So affirmation is a place where you have looked at your skills, you've assessed what you want to do, you've set some goals, and now we are speaking words of positivity into our mind. We're speaking words that encourage and gives our actually, let me do one thing here real quick, make sure that, okay, there we are. So we're speaking words of encouragement and words of support into our mind and into our existence. So affirmations are statements that we repeat to ourselves to reinforce positive beliefs. By regularly using affirmations, what we're doing is we're shifting our thoughts from those negative thoughts that we may have to thoughts of positivity. So examples, I am capable of achieving my goals, right? That's a good one. That's an affirmation. Another affirmation is, every step I take brings me closer to better health. That's an affirmation. Another affirmation is, I have the strength to overcome my challenges and my difficulties. That's an affirmation. And what I recommend for people with affirmations is write it out. Don't just let it be in your head. I want you to see it. When we talked about visualization, write it out, make it fancy, put it in block letters, put it on your refrigerator, tape it to your mirror. Any place where you will see it and where it will make a positive impact on your thoughts and the things that you're saying, okay? So I want you to write down 2 affirmations. Those are tips. These are tips. Write down 2 affirmations. Oh, so I made a loop. I didn't know that that's what was going to happen. So we walked that way, came around, and came down this way. Oh, interesting. So write down 2 affirmations that resonate with you and repeat them every day. Okay? And then I want you to make sure that you have them on your phone, on your device, somewhere where you can take them with you, and so you can see them and you can use them at any particular time.
Time 23 minutes 59 seconds. Total distance 1.0 miles. Average pace 23 minutes 59 seconds per mile. Split pace 23 minutes 59 seconds per mile.
All right, so that was my app telling me some statistics about the walk that we have so far. Okay? So the power of positive self-talk, right? So we've talked about positive self-talk, which is really what we want to develop, positive self-talk. So what is the power of positive self-talk? Number 1, we talked about it increases your resilience, okay? That one cannot be overstated. It helps you to bounce back. It helps support you in times of struggle. It helps to support you in times of difficulty and times when there are obstacles that will come. So positive self-talk boosts that. Positive self-talk. It boosts your motivation. Yeah, because there are times when you're gonna feel like not walking. I'm gonna tell you. There are times when it's gonna be, well, oh my goodness, do I have to get up? Do I have to take the time after work? Do I have to go to my lunch and use this time to do something else? Remember, you're setting yourself up for success, and consistency is key. And so a 100-day walk to consistency is what this is called. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get some motivation. And positive self-talk will do that for us. And then positive self-talk puts us in the mind to be solution-oriented. Solution-oriented. If I say I can't, then there's no reason for me to find a solution. If I say I'm not going to be able to, there's no reason for me to look around at an alternative. If I say this is just what happens, there's no reason for me to work on my resilience or my flexibility or my stick-to-itiveness or my persistence or my patience. See what's going on? And I want you to notice that as you are looking at this process, you are also thinking about and doing things that will affect other areas. Remember we talked about that domino effect? So we're not just talking about you walking for health. We're talking about you walking because it builds resilience, which will help you with savings. We walking because it will help you be flexible and be solution-oriented, so you can work on that other thing that's going on in your life that you thought you couldn't do, right? So we're not just talking about this, but we're talking about consistency. And so as we're walking at these 100 days, yeah, it's happening. And we're on, I don't think I said day number 12, right? So we're moving, right? And so my celebration is coming, right? So I celebrate once a week. Actually, I celebrate every day, to be honest, if you must know the truth, because every day that I go, every day is a place where I want to be successful. All right. So now that we've talked about self-talk, we've talked about negative self-talk, we talked about positive self-talk, here's your challenge. Okay? I want you, over the next 24 hours, to notice the thoughts that you have in your head. I want you to notice the words that you're using. Are they negative words? Are they positive words? I want you to think specifically of something where you face some challenges, a place where you are feeling particularly vulnerable, a place where you seem to be stuck and not having the ability to kind of make a breakthrough. And I want you to identify the negative thought that you have had recently. Okay? Negative thought about that thing. And I want you to challenge that negative thought. Challenge the negative thought. Is it true? Is that always the case? Let these cars go by. Didn't we have some success over in this other place? So if that's the case, then this can't be true, right? So challenge the negative self-thought, and I want you to replace it with a positive thought, and I want you to replace it with an affirmation, right? An affirmation are those statements. So, I never exercise. Well, I am a person who exercises. I am doing the 100-day challenge. I'm doing the 100-day walk to consistency. You know, I never eat right. I am a person who, replace that with, I am a person who is concerned about my health, and I do make good choices with my meals. Notice what I'm doing. I'm challenging the thought, and I'm replacing it with a positive spin, and I'm replacing it with an affirmation. Okay? So that's your challenge for today. And so now that we've talked about that, how self-talk influences what we do, what we say, how we show up even, right? Positive self-talk. We'll do that. Remember that voice in your head is one of the most powerful sources of either encouragement or discouragement. We are hardest on ourselves. We're harder on ourselves than those people outside of us. So it's one of the most positive. By shifting your self-talk to a positive self-talk, you are setting yourself up for consistency. And I can't stress enough that this has far-reaching implications for so much of what we do in our lives. So make sure that you are consistent. Make sure you're working on the positive self-talk. And as I said, make sure that you're going through the workbook, right? Do the challenges. Don't just let these be things that you hear, but get out there, get involved with the challenges, go through the workbook, because the workbook also is your manual. You're building a manual. You're building a library to be able to look back and see, okay, what tool can I pull out as I'm moving in the direction of being consistent and direction of being well, being healthy, and being successful. As always, y'all, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. And I'm glad that you joined me for another episode of our 100-day walk to consistency. Join me tomorrow as we continue our discussion, because every day we're putting the pieces in to make us a better version, a more consistent, a more resilient version of ourselves. Have a great one. We'll see you on the trail. Bye-bye.